Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for some action then for Formula Sim Series. We're here for round 6 in Portugal, the Portuguese Grand Prix. Then how you all doing? My name is Jamie Morris, or LFR Indigo, and I'm here to commentate for you for this 80-minute qualifying session of 50% race, which is 33 laps around here in Portugal then. And let's see then how it all folds out in the next upcoming few moments of this race. And we've got a few cars there coming out of the circuit. You can see the mixture of medium tyres and soft tyres are being applied to the cars. So let's see who's the first one out there. Oh, the game for you was kind of a little bit loud for my liking, but I think it's Boland then in the Haas, who did a fantastic job yesterday, must be said, in the Shiju Championship. There he is in the Haas then on the medium compound tyres as a banker lap. And we'll see then how he does around this track. The undulation and the elevation changes around here are incredible. It's a lovely track. It's quite difficult to get right as well, especially when you're running no assist. You've got to spot the braking points and turn it at the right time, otherwise you'll find yourself either spinning at turn 4 or at this corner where Boland is right now. So you can be very careful around here to try and hook up the best lap as you can. And there's another downhill section there going down the hill. It's just incredible. This corner will be the flat out easy corner. Then you're coming uphill, can't see anything until you get up the crest. And this right hander, which is Portimao as it seems. This track is 4.6 kilometers long and 2.8 miles long if you want it in those units then. And I'll try and get the wrap track up for you so I can let's figure out which corner's which as if it loads. But Boland then making his way around the final 2 corners, and we'll see what lap time he has in store then. Early days of qualifying, might be very easy to make a mistake around here with the track not gripping it in. But there he is then, coming towards the lines, because the DRS wide open then for Boland as he makes his way down towards turn number 1, then downhill as we make our way towards there, then braking at the 100 metre board, hitting the inside curve, gets a decent exit. I don't think he's attacking it too much because it's his early stage of qualifying. Just want to get a bank lap in there. Slight lock up into turn 3, then kiss the apex, now coming uphill into turn 4. This is very easy to lose the rear end of the car, as you can see there from Boland, cascading down the hill towards turn number 5. Heavy braking zone, slowest corner on the track then, hooks it up really nicely then, get back on the throttle. You can see there the rear just stepping out as he gets on the throttle then, and you can see then flat out through turn number 6, and turn 7 can be a little bit difficult. You've got to judge it really correctly here because it's very easy to spin. And you could coming downhill then, coming into Craig Jones, flat out left hander. MotoGP also right around here. I think it was back in the British Superbikes, or World Superbikes. I think it was named after a rider who unfortunately passed away. They called it Craig Jones as a respect there for the rider. Now coming into the penultimate corner there for Boland. You can see the bit of oversteer through there as we make our way down into the golf corner, flat out downhill corner. And let's see the 1 lap time he can register on the board as a banker. And it's going to be a 16.8. Not a bad first lap there from Boland. We get more times on the board there. Jerry in the AlphaTauri is the next man to cross the line. And let's see what lap time he has also on the medium compound tyres as he makes his way towards the line. It's a 16.7 then. And Jensen has invalidated that lap time on the medium compound tyres. So it looks like he's going for it again on the same set. So let's see what he can do then on his second set. On the same set of the 2 laps. But Steph there goes in P3. The Dutch missile goes into P1 on the soft compound tyres with a 16.4. Wondering what the lap times could be then. I'm very intrigued to know what could it be. The fastest I've ever seen somebody go around here was like a 15.5. Let's see if anybody get near that. More lap times coming on the board then as Black Box puts his AlphaTauri in P4 with Steph following P5. Andrea in the Aston Martin in P6 along with his new teammate OP Fosilio. And Tom Robbo is out there. He's coming towards the line now, and he goes quickest with a 16.0 then. So early in this qualifier session, we're edging towards the 15s, and his teammate puts that Red Bull in P3 there with a 16.6, about 6/10 off. So must have had a caution lap or just a struggle somewhere. Aries in the Alfa Romeo looks like he's backed off. Expect to see quite a few invalidations around here. It's very easy to invalidate and make mistakes. And turn 4 will be another one to keep an eye on. Tito goes wide into turn number 5, but doesn't really affect his exit then, as Luca puts his Alfa Romeo in PT, but obviously that's not a representative lap time, as Aries goes into P10 with a 35. Yeah, looks like they are struggling around there because you can see P9 downwards, not representative lap times for them, as Artemello, the Haas driver, makes his way towards the line. It's going to be a 17.6 and puts his Haas inside the top 10 then for the time being. early laps coming in. And CPI Daniel was speaking to him before the race qualifying started, and he was telling me that he was expecting a top 8 finish. So let's see if he can try and produce that. It's not his best track around here. He already told me what his lap time's going to be. He's expected to get a 16.2 is CPI Daniel. If he can get that or further above, he'll be very happy in that Mercedes then. As you can see, he's going for a second lap time as well in that Mercedes. His teammate has also validated on his flyer lap then, so head back in the pit lane as he's running out of fuel. So it looks like he's fully fueled the car. Well, he's done 1 lap already on those set us off, so 2 validations in a row. Unfortunately for Harm there, it's not what you want at the early part of the session, just affecting your confidence just a little bit. It is a difficult track indeed to absolutely master. But yeah, all the times they're coming in, we're just seeing who else is out there on the track to make an impression. Andrea looks like he's invalidated that lap time again. Aries has also invalidated that lap time, and he might have to head back in the pit lane. No, he's going for it again on those medium compound tyres. I think the time is about 10 minutes, so I think it's time to switch over to the soft compound tyres and try and get a few lap times on them. But Aries making his way through turn 1, and a lot of people found it difficult when the game first came out, or when the track first came out. Apologies. Portugal Grand Prix then was introduced back in 2020 during the COVID times, and unfortunately it would not be on the 22 calendar. I mean, I really miss this track, to be honest with you. It's a really nice track to drive, and when you hook it up, it is absolutely satisfying. But MotoGP will continue to have this track. But yeah, it's a really nice track to use, and not always produce the best racing, but we'll never know what could happen. League racing is so interesting to watch these drivers go side by side, also with the multiple strategies as well. With the soft to medium and medium to soft, anything could happen around here. And the same high chance of safety car despite having massive runoff areas. You never know, someone could drop it down at turn 4 and hit the wall. We've seen plenty of safety cars come out in the past because of people hitting the wall at turn number 4. But Aries there looks like he's got a good lap on the board. Let's see what he can set, as he needs a representative lap time. Make his way towards the right hand now. You can see him running out of EOS. Expect a lot of people to run out of EOS before the line. Looks like Aries had some decent EOS there, because he did run out just before the line. It's a 16.5, so he's the he was the quickest medium runner in P3 there. That's a good lap time there from Aries. Facilio out there on a set of soft compound tyres. They did not set a lap time on the mediums. Looks like he's fueled the car for 1 lap only. So this set of tyres then has to count. It's a 31 in the middle sector there. 51, sorry, in the middle sector. Making his way now towards the penultimate corner. Very easy to make a mistake through here, especially at these parts where the tyres are at their best in terms of the tyre temperature. Be very hot towards this stage. They're riding the curbs, but that is too much, unfortunately, for Facilio. I wondered what lap time was going to be. It looked like it was going to be a decent lap time, but unfortunately they're being a bit too greedy on the inside of the curb. Jensen out there on a brand new set of softs, so let's see that everybody, well, majority of people are on the soft compound tyres. The Dutch Missile has invalidated his lap time. Joey making his way towards turn number 10 and turn number 11 at Portimao, hooks the curb in. You can see the rear, the front end of the car really sticking. 5/10 up in the middle sector, then needs to keep a bit of traffic he's encountered along the way. Hopefully they didn't distract him too much. Now making their way towards the penultimate corner and wound the car in. Make sure that you really want to make sure the got enough front end on the front end to try and turn the car in. Make their way towards the penultimate corner then, not hooking that inside curve we see most people do. Running out of EOS already, and it's going to be a 16.1, and he puts that AlphaTauri in P2 then. I think Jensen's going for a lap. Yes, he is then, so be very interested to see what he could hook up as he makes his way towards turn 1 then. 6th gear, kissing the inside curve. You can see there the wobbled a bit quick out of turn 1. Hitting that inside curve through there, short shift to try and reduce wheel spin, coming uphill into turn number 4, gets a really decent exit then as we'll make our way down into turn number 5. Downhill braking zones are very easy to lock the inside front there, as you can see there. Misses the apex just a little bit, but gets a good exit indeed. Now making our way towards turn number 6, flat out easy. Turn number 7, flat, well, he lifts off through there, coming into turn 8 then. Misses the inside curve. You can see him hesitated a bit on the exit. Didn't really get the best of exits, did Jensen there, so the car didn't roll in as he would have wanted. I think Tito's just come into P3 in that Alpine on a set of soft compound tyres there, so decent lap from the Alpine driver in P3, and Jensen is 5/10 up like Jerry was in that middle sector, then making our way through towards turn 13. This can be a little bit of a clumsy corner. It can be very easy to lock the rear tyres up in there, so you can be very careful how you judge it going into that one. You can see there Twitch coming out at turn number 14. Now making our way through the final corner at turn 15 then. Putting a tyre on that inside curb. And let's see what lap time is this going to be. It's going to be the first man in the 15s. And oh, that was so close, wasn't it? About 8 thousandths off. And he goes P1 at least with a 16.0 then. So we're getting ever so close. I think the AlphaTauri black box is next across the line. But unfortunately, he has invalidated it. So has to head back in the pit lane. I think someone else coming towards the line. That was Steph, who's making his way towards the line to start his flying lap. Mercedes across the line to start theirs. I think that was Harm and P17. It was. And the Dutch missile then, it's a McLaren 1-2. And he puts this McLaren in P2 then, so good lap time there. He's done 2 laps on those set of soft compound tyres, so indicating he made a mistake on the first one, or invalidated it as well. So he managed to hook it up on the second run on the same set of the soft compound tyres then. So both McLarens in P1 and P2 will help Jensen massively in the championship with his McLaren teammate being there. And they've got some decent pace there so far in that McLaren team. OP Zane has invalidated his lap time, unfortunately for him. And what will he do? Will he come back in the pit lane? No, he's going to go for a second run on the set of soft compound tyres. Noah is behind him. Let's see what lap time the Red Bull can produce. It's going to be a 60.1. And he goes into P7 then. I saw Mercedes having a moment down there. I think it was Daniel in P18. Yeah, Daniel looks like he's made a mistake then coming out of turn 1 and turn 2. Did he hit that inside curb at turn 2 and sent his car into a spin? So unfortunately there, Daniel then looks like he's on the battle foot along with his teammate. Facilio is out there on a lap time. There he is in the Aston Martin with a 51.0. Should get a reference to what that is, if it's a good decent middle sector or not. Let's see. I can't quite tell actually. And you can see him taking a lot of curb into turn number 14. That's the first time I've seen somebody do that. Let's see if it benefits them, as many drivers take different lines. And turn 15 then taking the shortest route towards the line. Let's see what lap time is this. He's going to go quicker with a 50.7. What a lap time there for outplayed Vasilio in P1 there. Can anybody beat it, I wonder? The first man inside the 15s. And let's see then if anybody out there can match it or beat it. Artemello looks like he's just completed a lap in P16 on the set of soft compound tyres. His Haas teammates out there. Bolan, let's see what he can do. It's P5 for Bolan there with a 16.0. And he puts that Haas inside the top 5 there. Let's see if he can find more time later on in the session. The Red Bull is approaching the line. That's Noah going back in the pit lane. AlphaTauri is going to be Joey, who's going to start his flying lap then. I wonder how many minutes are left in this session. Coming towards the closing stages of qualifying. 4 minutes left to go in this session then. Can anybody get there? Facilio's lap time. It'll be very interesting to see if they can do. Joey approaching turn 1 there, a bit hesitant going in there. You can see they get the best of exits out of turn 1. Now going into turn 3. Let's see how he takes this one. Coming towards turn number 4 now. Very easy to lose the rear end of the car going uphill. And you'll see a lot of that going into the race and qualified. Unfortunately there, Joey has invalidated it and he's 1/10 up in that first sector. So looks like he was on course for a decent lap time already in the first sector. Could have put him up a couple of positions, that would, but it all afforded going out of turn number 4. So majority of the drivers are in the pit lane. Then we're just waiting for the main drivers to come out, and let's see what they can do then in the last stages of the qualifying session. Both McLarens looking really good up there in P2 and P3. Tom Robbo is the Shizou Tom, sorry, is the championship leader. I think that is Tom. Someone let me know in the comments if Tom Robbo is Shizou Tom. I should probably know this. Apologies about that, but just let me know if it is the same person. But Jensen then making his way towards that penultimate corner. Let's see where he is in the championship. He's currently P2 in the championship, and he had a DNS in. It did not start, sorry, in Austria. So yeah, lost a lot of points in Austria, did Jensen. And it was Shizou Tom who finished second in Austria to claim the championship lead. And there's 3 races left to go, including this one. Joey has retired from the session, so his qualifying is done and dusted. I'm not quite sure if he hasn't got any available tyres left for him, but unfortunately there, Jensen has gone out wide into turn 1. The benefits of evaluating it in the first sector is that you haven't taken too much life out of the tyres, and you don't have to cool the tyres down, recharge the battery, and you have enough, and you have plenty of fuel to go for it again, as you only evaluated in one corner. So that's the option there for Jensen. Then he can go for a second run if he wants to. You can't go for consecutive lap times. If you finish one and go for another one, you can't do that because your tyres will be very, very hard. You'll be sliding all over the show, especially a track like this as well. Remember, like, recent games you could go for consecutive lap times because the tyres didn't really heat up as much. But in these recent games, you can be very careful. Invalidation can cost you, absolutely cost you. And let's see then, a lot of people on their outlaps. I want to go on board who is in front of the train. I think that's Noah. Nope, it's his teammate who's in front of that train. Tom Lubbo in P4 then. He makes his way towards the final call then as he starts his... Well, he's got enough time to go for a second flying lap if he needs to. But let's see then if he can tidy this lap up and see if he can get himself further up the grid. Going down into turn 1 then. 6th gear, misses the apex slightly, goes a bit wide. And Tom Rubber then will have to back out like Jensen did. So a lot of people in the last stages of qualifying, the pressure is ramping up and you see a lot of people making mistakes. And that is down at turn 1 then. So the Dutch Missile is also another one to make a mistake. Will he get a lap time in? With Tom Rubber there taking the MotoGP line. And let's see then who's on a lap time further behind us. So we've got a Ferrari up there. I want to see who's closer towards the line. That's Luca. So Luca hasn't got a representative lap time. He's 4/10 up in the first sector, going into turn 6. Now turn 7 in 4th gear there. Oh, the car over-rotating, and unfortunately there goes off the track. That might cost him a little bit of lap time. Thankfully for him, has no validity. He's looking to get as many positions as he can further to the grid, is Luca. So let's see if we can get a decent middle sector. 27.6 he's up, but we all know that wasn't a representative lap time. But Andrea, what's happened to him is the other Aston Martin, Facilio, he's on an out lap. There are 20 seconds left to go. I hope it's not that. Then I should probably ignore it, but I want to go back on board with Luca as he makes his way towards the line. And let's see what lap time he could set in the Alfa Romeo. It's a 16.6 and he goes P14. Not a major improvement, but he'll be happy with that one considering the he's struggling around here. Jensen's back in the pit lane. He will not take pole position then. And the Dutch Missile will start his final flying lap then as Jensen decides not to go for it. As we make our way down to turn 1 then. The Dutch Missile hits that inside curb but gets away with it. Coming into turn number 3 now. And it locks to the inside front. You can see him going a little bit wide into turn 3. Might cost him going up into turn 4. It can really be painful and costly if you make a mistake in one of the corners leading up to the other. But he's a 10 down already in the first sector. There he's then making his way towards the line. I think he's starting his final flying lap. OP Zane is also right behind him, getting a distant tow. Those two are validated on their lap times because they're quite low on ERS, so they go for a second lap time on the same set of soft compound tyres. Then an Alpine is about to make their way towards the line. He hasn't improved, unfortunately for him. Jensen has retired from the session. And OP Feedy then in P8. Fadi going in for a flying lap time then in the Williams, as he's already done one lap. So you can see a lot of people go for a second flying lap on the same set of soft compound tyres. One of the LPs has made a mistake. Is that Steph? Oh, Steph has crashed in the barriers. That's a shame there for Steph. But Tom Robbo then has just put his Red Bull in P2. Be very happy with that one. But Facilio, can anybody challenge him? He's on the last flying lap. Is Facilio. Noah's about to make his way towards the line. He's 3/10 up. Let's see where he can put this Red Bull. It's going to be a 15.9. And he goes P4 then, ahead of Bolin. Black Box, I think, is next across the line. There he is then in the AlphaTauri. He puts himself inside the top 10. I'll be very happy with that one. And somebody else just moved up the order. I think it was Fade in P3 going up the order with a 15.9, just without fuel, so he timed that perfectly there. Daniel, I think, is next across the line. That's his teammate who's going in the pit lane. Where is Facilio? He's further behind. Yeah, Facilio looks like he's backed out. Both Aston Martins going slowly. Daniel's P16 with a 16.7 then. And both Aston Martins look like they have backed out of their lap times. Yes, they have then. So OP Facilio then is on pole position ahead of Tom Rubbo. And that is qualifying done and dusted then. Good job to Facilio there, did a fantastic job. But now we move on to the race. Have a look at the championship standards then while I've got the time to do so. Jensen will start in P6. Hello Luke, how are you doing, mate? Nice to see you in the chat. But yeah, so our LFR driver is unfortunately down there in P17, but let's see if he has got the race pace. This track is very difficult, especially being on no assist as well, so might find it a little bit difficult. So let's have a look at the championship standings then. So Shizu Tom Yeah, Tom Robbo. Tom Robbo is currently P1 in the championship. He has got a gap of 4 points. In fact, interesting stat about Tom. He's leading the championship, but he hasn't won a race this season. That's quite interesting. He's been consistent with podiums, it seems. He had that one DNF in USA, but yeah, he's had 2 third places and 2 second places. So he's been rather consistent on the podiums as Shizu Tom. And Jensen missing a race in USA has cost him, or Austria, I must say. And he's 4 points behind in P2. Bolin in P3. Isma in P4, but I don't think Isma is here tonight in the Ferrari, so unfortunately we won't see him race. In fact, both Ferraris are not in the session, so we don't see any Ferrari drivers. In fact, yeah, OP-Zane in P18. Aries and OP-Zane did not set a lap time on the soft compound tyres, and I think they were out there, but they must have struggled on their last flying laps then. So Joey Santeri's in P5, he's a reserve driver. Joey's in P6 ahead of Noah, Andrea in P9 in the Aston Martin ahead of Black Box. There's your top 10 in the championship. The gap separated by 4 points between Tom and Jensen. Looks like Tom's got the high ground as he's ahead of Jensen then, so it's pivotal for Jensen to have a good race. The man who won last time in Austria was Santeri. Second place belonged to Tom, but yeah, his running consistency has paid off for him. Has Tom. Let's see what he could do here. Started down in P2. Nice and dry for us. You can see it's overcast a little bit there, but hopefully the weather may stay the same for the whole session. If it comes to wet conditions, it can be very difficult to overtake around here. We will see a massive DRS train ahead of us. Right then, so I think the top 10 are on the soft compound tyres then, so the highest medium runner will be Tito in P11. As expected there, nobody in the midfield wanted to go for the soft compound tyres. Round 6 in the championship, so there's 3 races to go, including this one then. Can Tom extend his championship lead ahead of Jensen? Can Jensen make a comeback? We know he's a capable driver to do so. Had a run of bad luck. He looks like things are going his way early in the season, but unfortunately things took a turn for him. He finished first and second in the first 2 races, then didn't have the best of Monza races, I remember that. I think he got caught up in an incident, then I think he came second in USA, then he did not start in Austria, so it's not been too bad for him, but that DNS start from Austria and that race in Monza definitely cost him there. But it must be said, you do Tom with the consistency of podiums there. He's been doing a fantastic job in the Red Bull. It must be said, having 4 podiums out of 5. Can he make it 5 out of 6? Can he be on the top step for the first time this season? Because he's leading the championship, has not had 1 win this season. Shows you don't have to win, but you have to be very consistent. So consistency is key. Bolin, he's P3 in the championships, currently starts P4 then. What could he do from P4 on the grid? Isma is a reserve driver, he is not here I don't think. His teammate is down in last place, OP Zane. Let's see what they can do in the midfield there. Can the medians be an advantage towards the end of the race because they go for that much longer stint and they'll be in the soft compound tyres because safety cars play a factor as well in this race. We know a lot of people have been struggling around here so far in Portugal. Couldn't quite hook up the last few laps, but qualifying's done and dusted. Then we're moving on to the race and we'll see what happens in the next 33 laps as all the drivers are lined up on the grid. We're just waiting for the lights to go out. There are the lights, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's see who gets a better start. We are round 6 then underway, and looks like Tom Robbo got a good start. The lad is alongside Fasilio as we make our way down into turn 1 then. Aston Martin versus Red Bull. Tom Robbo goes down the inside of Fasilio, and you can see there further behind Bolin is fighting with the Haas driver as he goes down the inside then of Fasilio. He got past the Williams, but the Williams has spun. He's also collected a Red Bull, and I think that was Noah who's just spun there with him. And you can see there, Bolin's tucked in right behind Fasilio as we make our way down the inside into turn number 5 there. Let's see who comes out top. You can see there, Fasilio gets a better exit with traction and he stays ahead. Jensen's moved up into P4. You can see further behind a whole lot of cars squabbling for position there. Joey trying to go down the inside into turn number 7. And let's see then into turn 8. Will he struggle coming uphill as it's a cute angle as he can tend to spin there. No, he gets a decent exit, does Joey, so had some pretty decent downforce there. And you can see Andrea in P8 there on the medium compound tyres will pay dividends for him later on in the race if he can stick with the train on the DRS. But the Dutch missile then in P5 black box then has overtaken Harm for P9. They go side by side coming into turn number 13. Harm trying to go around the outside but has the inside line for the next corner. There's already a 1.5 second gap in between Jensen and the Dutch missile then. The Dutch missile crucially needs to be in that DRS range, otherwise he'll suffer because it's so hard to save ERS around here. You can't save ERS unless you're behind somebody, so it's important for him to get himself back in that DRS train. You can see Joey right behind him then, got some decent straight line speed in that Alpha Tauri. Will he look for a move into turn 1 number 1? Yes he will! And good job he backed out of that one in the very last second because contact would have been made there. You've got to be fully alongside or ahead of your rival before going to turn 1 because contact's been bound to make as it's a acute angle and therefore you'll spin the car. But Joey then picks up a 3-second time bonus. You can see Daniel going side by side with Steph. Black Box is fighting with Fide in P9 there as he goes down the inside in the Williams. Bit of contact being made in the process there, but at least no full wind damage, and he gets ahead of the Alpha Tauri. Steph is ahead of Daniel, but the highest medium runner is up into P8 then. He's currently Shizu Andre. If he can stay in this DRS train, will pay dividends for him later on in the race as he's able to stick with this train. Once they pit, they get out of the way, then he's able to run that soft compound tyres towards the end of the race and try and make up some ground on those soft compound tyres. Harm then is fighting with Black Box. They're going side by side then into turn number 12. Now turn number 13 we go. And Tom trying to stick around the outside there. Can be difficult corners these guys, but Noah has spun. As you can see, Harm's going down the inside of Black Box. Who gets a better exit cut out here, it'll be hard. But they can be very careful though not to lose the DRS because fighting those corners like that will lose a lot of time. Noah has retired from the session. Was that on the track? It's got to be on the track because they're not even past the straight yet. So unfortunately there, he's retired from the session. Black Box has got ahead of Harm. He's re-overtaking him, but Joey is right behind. In fact, he's got alongside of the head. As you can see, the Dutch missile went off the track. That he's been struggling. Has the Dutch missile, and Joey's up into P5. DRS is enabled then, so can Dutch missile try and reclaim P5 with the help of the DRS, or stay behind for the time being unless he sends it down the inside? No, he doesn't. Harm then right behind Black Box. He stays behind for the time being then, so quite a few change of positions. But it's a massive shame for Noah there. Got caught up. I think he got caught up with the Williams who half spun the car, but I'm not quite sure if he got tapped as well in the process of that. So it all unfolded very quickly. It all unfolded very quickly there, and that's why you've seen a massive gap already between Joey and VSR Jensen then. So one McLaren got a good start, the other is in P6. I think they both made up places. Yes, they did then. Joey Joey got off the track there. Got to be very careful not to do that, mate. But Jensen then 2 places gained. Joey 4 places. He's only got a 3-second time penalty. Has the AlphaTauri driver, so already in the back foot there with penalties. It's very easy to collect around here. Well, the first lap, not ideal. Can be very careful because if a late safety car comes out, he might be falling down the order. And Andrea there right behind the Dutch missile. Looks like he's got some decent pace on those medium compound tyres. Let's see how easy it is to overtake the Dutch missile. The Dutch missile will also have DRS and Joey ahead of him. He goes off the track for the second time in a row, Andrea then fancies a move down the inside, but the Dutch missile breaks later and currently stays ahead. Can Andrea then out-drag him towards turn before, get a decent exit, try and set himself up into turn 3 and turn 4. And he stays behind for the time being now. But what you'll see from the top 4 then, you see Tom Robbo, Facilio, Boland and Jensen then, they'll pull away. I don't think they'll fight each other in the early stages of the race because they know the medium compound tyres are quite useful around here. They'll pull away, they'll try and work together, and in the first stint you'll see give them got the medium compound tyres, then they'll have a fight, because if you squabble too early in the lead, it'll allow the medium runners to get even closer. You just want to build a momentum, build a gap over those medium runners and use each other as a DRS trade to pull ahead of those guys. Andrea then right behind the Dutch missile yet again. Looks like he's struggling on those soft compound tyres. Is it due to overheated issues, or is he just struggling around this track in general? Can be a very difficult track, but look at that, you can see for Dave right behind Andrea, 1/10 right behind him there, so he's definitely got the grip on the soft compound tyres. He's spun coming out of turn number 4, that's why he's right behind Andrea. As he pulls alongside then and gets ahead of the Aston Martin driver, he backs out of it knowing that he can't go side by side, but Facilio hits the back of Tom Robbo there. Boland looking very interested though. The top 4 are bunched up together, not a second even separates between them. As they make our way then down into turn number 5, Facilio, will he go down the inside into turn 5? No, he stays behind. Jensen, is he close enough for Boland? Look at him, he's all over the back of Boland. You can see they're dropping Joey there. Joey unfortunately can't get himself in that DRS range with 2.8 second gap. It's super hard, especially when you're running no ERS as well. You just got no advantage. You got clean air, but it's not really helping because you're dragging along on DRS train as well. You have to think about defending more than catching up, but you can use these this middle sector while those guys are in dirty air with each other. Those guys will have the advantage on the straight. The more they fight benefits Joey as he's able to close in on this train, but when it comes to the straight, Joey will lose a lot of time. So Joey using the clean air to his advantage by bringing that gap down, but he'll go up again once we get on this straight. The Dutch missile just trying to stay in that DRS of Joey there. Looks like he is struggling, looks like he got understeer going into turn number 14. Those tyres must be overheated for sure. But there we go, the lap 6 out of 33 there. We might see a change of leadership. There goes Facilio, and there goes Boland. Will he go down the inside of Tom Robbo? Yes, he does then. So Tom Robbo has to accept defeat for the time being. Facilio goes off the track there, so broke late and might have cost himself a warning. Goes deep into turn number 3, and now allow Boland to open up the door, try and get him down into turn number 4. So there we go, the DRS enabled for Boland then, as he makes his way past Facilio. We'll go ball with Tom Robbo there as they go side by side, going into turn number 5. Facilio will have better traction, but they were so close there. I thought they'd push each other off the track, but thankfully Boland gave a bit more space to Facilio to stay on the track, and Boland gets ahead of Facilio then. So Tom Robbo then in 3rd place. Jensen just waiting patiently as the Dutch missile has been overtaken. Looks like he made a mistake and it's allowed 2 drivers to go past, for Day and Andrea. So the Dutch missile then is definitely struggling. I'm trying to keep up with the action, but it's quite hard when you have a lot of battles going on. But unfortunately for the Dutch missile, looks like he's definitely struggling with those soft compound tyres. We'll love to get after them as soon as possible. Might be overheated issues, especially in that middle sector there, just carrying a lot of understeer and oversteer. Not a nice feeling as well when you're in dirty air. Andrea, they're looking pretty in P7 on those medium compound tyres, the highest medium, where he's done some good progress so far. And now he's got Fidei, who's 1.9 seconds outside the DRS of Joey there, so Joey will look comfortable for the time being in P5. We just focused on the battle for P1 then. So the lap ago, Tom Robbo got jumped by Boland and Facilio with the DRS. He fell down to P3. Nothing he could do about it with the power of the DRS for Facilio and Boland. But Tom Robbo then will sit in P3, try and save some of that ERS to try and get those 2 back in the next coming lap time. When the pit stops, it will happen very shortly. Will it happen about lap 10? Who will go for the other cut first? Because the other cut can tend to be quite powerful around here. Brand new medium compound tyres against old softs that are overheated. As you can see there, then Andrea under pressure for the Dutch missile, trying to reclaim some ground he lost early on in this race. One retirement so far in this race, that is Noah. He got caught out by Fidei spinning at turn number 4. I'm not sure if Fidei got tagged or not, but all went down at turn number 4. And that's why this DRS trade is split up. And Joey got himself past the Dutch missile, moved himself up to P5. He's trying to close that gap down. The gap is 1.8 between Joey and Jensen. Has he got the pure pace to try and close it on these guys? He'll lose a lot of time in the straight, of course. Will he go for an early undercut to try and get himself in this DRS train? And once he gets there, will he try and save the tyres? Lap 8 out of 33 then. Bowler continues to lead ahead of Facilio, Tom Robbo in P3, and Harm then pits onto laps 8 and good on the medium compound tyres. I think Harm had to pit because he was stuck there in between the medium runners, and the mediums then are much better than the soft compound tyres at this stage. Harm's gone for the hard compound tyres, so he believes that the medium tyres will not make it to the end, and it is an early pit stop for him. So I think that was the only option, because he was stuck in that DRS trade, couldn't do anything about it, and therefore had to move on to a different strategy to try and gain some progress in this race. Let's see what he can do on those hard compound tyres. Those hards might take a little bit of time to warm up. He might be struggling in the early stages of the race, might not have no grip when he comes out of the pit lane. Might take a long time for those hards to rubber in and get familiar with the racetrack. Hard tyres barely get... Ooh, somebody's just spun there. Was that Harm? No, it's Daniel. Daniel's gone for a spin. And looks like he's dropped back into P15. That's a massive shame for him. He struggled in qualifying, and he's also struggling here tonight in the race. He told me before that he was going to struggle, but Tom Robbo there going off the track, and that might have cost him a warning for sure. Let's have a look, shall we? Yes, it is a warning. Well, it was a lap before he picked up a warning, so Tom Robbo's got away with that one. He picked up a warning 2 laps ago, has Tom, but Fadey then has got in the pit lane then in the Alpine. There he is in the Williams, so I get confused between the Alpine and Williams colours. But lap 9 then, will he go on the medium compound tyres? Can they make it towards the end? Gone for an early undercut. Has Fadey in that Williams. He was having a battle between Andrea and the Dutch Missile, and he does go on the medium compound tyres then, so he's looking to undercut those guys ahead of him. And he currently rejoins in P15. He's got lots of fresh air ahead of him to try and close that gap down and make the use of those medium compound tyres, while everybody else on the soft compound tyres. But let's see then, which one of these guys will pit first? I think it makes sense for Jensen to pit because he's in that DRS train, isn't he? So he might want to consider a pit stop, considering he's last in the DRS train, because it's very hard to try and overtake these guys ahead of us once you're in that DRS train. You've got no advantage, you all got DRS and just following each other. So I think Jensen then might have to consider another course. Same with Facilio and Tom Robbo. Oh, Jensen almost losing the car there coming out of turn number 14. But let's see then who goes for a pit stop, and it's none of them, so they continue then for one more lap as we go on to lap 10 out of 33. You can see Tito is right behind Black Box then. Those medium tyres are much better now than the soft compound tyres. They use the ERS to his advantage. He pulls out alongside of the AlphaTauri and gets the move done into turn number 1. Good move there from Tito. We're very interested to see which one of these drivers in the top 4 will go for a pit stop first, or will they all make the pit stop. I think the medium compound tyres from lap 11 onwards can definitely make it to the end, but Fadey pitted on lap 9, going for an early undercut. Once these guys pit, Andrea will find himself leading the race, and he'll have the advantage on the soft compound tyres coming towards his way later on in the race. You can see Jensen there crawling over the back of Tom Robbo there. Those two are championship contenders is Tom Robbo and VSR Jensen. Make sure in these last 2 races, barely anything separated between them. I'm going to be very careful as well. I think Jensen's all focused on Tom Robbo, because Bowden in the championship is further behind. Jensen's main rival is ahead of him. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what Tom can do. Can defend from Jensen. But as we head up to lap 11, so not go for a pit stop, as Jensen's right behind Tom Robbo, they're draining the battery as he sets the fastest lap of the race. Robbo's doing the same thing as well, trying to stay ahead of Jensen, getting closer towards Facilio. As we're coming out of turn 1, they're going down into turn 3. Jensen, they're trying to take different lines. Then Robbo try and get past him. Aries has got past Black Box for P9. They're both exchanging positions. But here comes Jensen, and Tom Robbo got a bit wobbly at the exit of turn number 4, and down the inside goes Jensen on Tom Robbo. Tom Robbo will have the better exit with traction. Around the outside he goes, but here comes Jensen, then using the ERS as they go side by side into turn number 7 and turn number 8. They're still side by side, but Tom Robbo then having the cute angle going down the inside there. Not really the best thing going, but he has got more ERS advantage, has Tom Robbo. You can see that Jensen has already used a lot of battery So might play to Tom Roberts' house later on in the race if he can re-overtake him. But nice move there from Jensen. Good battle between Tom Robbo and Jensen going side by side into that first sector and the middle sector. But Jensen then deciding he wants to no longer be in that DRS train. And more yellow flags there. We had some yellow flags when that battle went on. And Tom Robbo has picked up a 3-second time penalty then. He picked up a time penalty yesterday when he was racing the USA. But Tom Robbo, ooh, gotta be careful. Ooh, he gets past him. That was a good move from Tom Robbo there. That was a fantastic move. I thought he had to pick up a speeding ticket for speeding the pit lane, but he managed to overtake Jensen without picking up a 5-second time penalty. And does he get ahead of him? Yes, he does. Tom Robbo gets ahead of Jensen. Move of the century there from Tom Robbo. He was either go into the back of him or pick up a 5-second time penalty for speeding the pit lane. But I must say, well judged there from Tom Robbo. And Daniels retired in the pit lane, so no safety car will be deployed then, as Tom and Jensen will come out in P11 and P12 with some fresh air. Verday's right behind him. He pitted 2 laps before these guys. He was outside the DRS train. That's how much the undercut was powerful, as he gained a lot of time. And he's also in the DRS range of these 2 guys ahead, so with the undercut helping him. He's also rejoined ahead of Joey, was behind him, but in the pits before the pit stop started happening, so the undercut proving to be powerful once again. As next up, we'll see the pit stops happening from Facilio and Bolan. There they are in the Haas and Aston Martin. You can see there the tyres grading, picking up massive understeers coming out of the corner, as those two then head off into the pit lane. Facilio's going for one more lap, so he decides not to pit. Is that going to be a good decision or not? I'm not quite sure, because the undercut's proven to be powerful around here, but Facilio's decided to stay out for one more lap as Bolan, and let's see where he rejoins in the Haas. We're just keeping an eye on in P11. Here comes Tom and Jensen then, as their outlap's been good enough to try and undercut Bolan as they make their way towards the finish line then. And let's see, can they both get ahead of Bolan? We're very tight, and there he is then. Bolan's right ahead of him. Now Bolan has to warm up those tyres, try and stay ahead of Tom Robbo. And Bolan then rejoins ahead of Tom and Jensen. Can he use the advantage with the warmer tyres, try and get past him into turn number 4. Looks like Bolan's got a decent exit to prevent that attack from happening. So let's see then, has Facilio made the right choice there 1 lap later, because this is very, very tight. If he rejoins behind Bolan, he might find himself rejoined behind his train, so has Facilio judged this right? Steph has retired in the pit lane, so we will not see him later on in the race, unfortunately for him. But Facilio then staying out for 1 more lap extra. This in lap has to be very crucial. This has to be very good for him. 1/10 up, so he's setting personal best despite being on older soft compound tyres, and he's staying out yet again. Opted to not go in the pit lane. They're going for a long strategy on the soft compound tyres. Looks like he's got some decent pace. Now he's in clean air in that Aston Martin. So that's Aston Martin 1-2 with Andrea in P3. The Dutch missile hasn't pitted just yet in that McLaren. Oh, here comes a car. Did he get in the way? Oh, Andrea has to take a forward action there, as Steph's car has rejoined the track there. Hopefully Andrea hasn't pitted a warning, but that could have been very close indeed towards contact. Thankfully nobody made contact with him. And Tom Robbo then right behind Bolan. Has he got a decent exit out of turn number 1 to try and get him to turn 4? Bolan's teammate Artemello is right ahead of him. The gap is 1.9 between Artemello and Bolan, and so could use that to his advantage with DRS. But Tom Robbo just too far behind to make a move. Let's see, Bolan 1.5 behind Artemello. Artemello's got a 4.7 second gap, so there's not much of a train ahead of Artemello. And OP Zane's next, who's running a lonely race in P7. But Facilio then will be hoping for these guys to battle it out, so he can rejoin ahead. I dare say that Facilio will be last in this DRS train, because you've got like Bolan, Tom Robbo, Jensen and Verday in P12, and Joe in P13 as well. And Facilio then has decided to stay out, so he's going for a long strategy on the soft compound tyres. Looks like he's got some decent pace, as the Dutch missile has pitted. Looks like the Dutch missile got himself into a rhythm there later on in the race, because he was struggling early doors in the race, but looks like he's found a rhythm, and looks like he had some decent pace on that set of old soft compound tyres, keeping up with those medium runners, it must be said. And he rejoins down into P14. There comes the AlphaTauri then. When he get past the McLaren driver, I think he'll be very tight towards the pit lane exit. And Black Box stays behind the Dutch Missile then. Go back on board with Boland then. His teammate's right there. And he'll get past his Haas teammate. Tom Robbo, oh, he outbreaks himself and the Haas goes into a spin. I think it was Ambition ahead of Amhesion there. And he desperately wants to get past the Haas driver, as he didn't want to lose any time. But unfortunately, Artemello has got into a spin. And Tom Robbo there has just handed the place towards his championship rival of VSR Jensen then. In terms of the championship, this was very important for Tom Robbo not to make any mistakes, but unfortunately he's tagged the Haas driver. I don't think Artemello did anything wrong there. He was taking his corners normally, but Tom Robbo was just desperate to get past Artemello, because he knows that if he stays behind him, especially in the middle sector, Boland is able to build up that gap on 1 second and try and get out of the DRS range. But looks like Boland then will be fighting Jensen as Jensen sets the fastest lap of the race. Tom Robbo then is alongside the AlphaTauri. They go side by side, but Joey has no ERS as they go into turn 1. It's so tight. Oh! Joey gets sent to a spin there. That is such a complex corner. The characteristics of this track, it's quite hard to go side by side in a corner like that. You can see Joey locking up the rears, got sent to a spin almost yet again by his teammate. But yeah, some big names there dropping outside. Tom Robbo escaped with no damage, but he has to make up all that hard work then, as the advantage then will go Facilio's way, as Fede picks up a 3-second time penalty. Yeah, so Boland, that's a good point on the Formula Sim Series channel, that Boland is slowly but surely getting back into the championship fight. He'll be less than 10 points behind Jensen as it stands, so keep that in mind. Boland there, can he undercut Facilio? Oh, I think he will undercut him, but Facilio will have fresh tyres, 17 laps on a set of soft compound tyres. That is incredible. Bearing in mind, these are his qualifying tyres too, so 18, 19 laps as Tom Robbo there goes down the inside of Fede, going into turn number 1. He takes P9 away from him. But how much longer can Facilio be on these soft compound tyres for? His tyres, well, it's incredible how many laps he's done on these set of soft compound tyres. I did not know that he could go a long way on these set of soft compound tyres, but proved to be he can. And when he comes out of the pit lane, he'll be very rapid towards the second half of the race. I can't wait to see the battle between Boland and Facilio. The Tom Robbo's penalty would definitely cost him, hinder him there. As looking at Jensen as it stands, Jensen will probably get close towards Tom Robbo in the championship. Not quite sure what the points deficit are in this league. Facilio there makes his way towards the line. It's going to be 90.4, so only 4 tenths away despite being older tyres, but he's got no ERS whatsoever. How long is he planning to go on these soft compound tyres? 18 laps for the set of soft. Oh, he goes wide there, so got to be careful, because he'll pick up a warning for sure. You can see this DRS trade for P2 between Andrea Tito and Luca further behind. Aries in P5. So Jensen there. Ooh, getting very close. If Luca almost got sent to a spin. You can see the rears locking up there as he presses the... But Jensen right behind Boland as we make our way into turn number 3. If Boland can make an impact to the championship with Jensen and Tom Robbo, it'll be a good drive for him. You've got to watch out for Facilio as well towards the end of the race, because he'll be very rapid. 18 laps on a set of soft compound tyres is just incredible. Something that I never thought that could happen, but anything could happen. The tyre life around here is better than I predicted. Maybe it's just the overheated issue that's the main cause of people pitting early. Minimising the distance on the medium compound tyres, basically doing the mediums to softs, but yeah, making those softs go a very long way. I'm not quite sure how he does that. I got told yesterday that he's very good with tyre saving, like he did in USA as well, because I thought those tyres would absolutely drop off in USA yesterday, but yet again, showing his skill, being the Sergio Perez in the Aston Martin there. 19 laps now, he's done a set of soft compound tyres. When will he pit? That's the interesting question. When can he pit? Or when will he pit, I must say. He's showing some good pace between the medium compound tyres, because the medium runners are not exactly closing in. I'm talking about Andrea, Tito and Luca. They're not closing in on Facilio, so they've got some very incredible pace. Let's have a look at the leader to gap, shall we? There we go then. So the gap between Boland and Facilio, 20 seconds. I'm not quite sure how much time you lose in the pit stops, but 20 seconds is a decent gap, it must be said. The thing is, I think Facilio will have to pit very shortly, because the more he does this, the less laps he has to try and close on these guys. So I think it's best for him to pit. Oh, Jensen goes wide there, coming out of turn number 8. Might have picked himself up a warning. But it looks like Facilio is still gaining on Boland in P6 there, so we've still got some decent pace on those soft compound tyres despite how those guys been on the mediums. What is this secret to saving tyres? And he finally pits then in the Aston Martin. He'd be very rapid towards the end of the race. Look at those softs. And Artemello picks up a 3-second time penalty then as the medium runners are pitted. So he's basically done the same stint as the medium runners, but those will go on the softs. Facilio will go on the soft compound tyres. That is just incredible what I've witnessed today with Facilio's tyre management. Been absolutely fantastic in this race. And let's see then, where will the others rejoin? That's Boland and that's Jensen. There's the Red Bull. That is Tom Robbo. Tom Robbo is ahead of Facilio. But yeah, with the tyre difference, let's see how Facilio can close on these guys. 30 laps to go in this race. He'll be much quicker than all these guys ahead of us. And yellow flag's further behind. That is, was that OP Zane who made a mistake? I'm not quite sure. Looks like it was. Where are we then? So Andrea leads the race then, staying out of those medium compound tyres. His fellow competitors of Aries and Luca Pitter. Tito is up into P9 ahead of Artemello. Got a battle going on there down in the midfield there, so going 3 wide. Artemello's just lost 3 places. Tito's ahead, Black Box is ahead, and Joey's ahead. I'll put the gap back to leader so I don't confuse myself here, figure out the gaps between each drivers. But Artemello's slowing down there, so does he have a problem, I wonder? He's just lost 4 places. Does he have any full wind damage? Not visibly, so can't quite tell from here. No, he doesn't have any full wind damage, so those tyres must be going off there because they're 90 laps old. But I'm saying that though, because Facilio's tyres was 90 laps old. And into pits goes Andrea then for his first stop, mediums to softs. As you can see, Jensen closing the gap down to Boland then. So the gap between Boland, Jensen and Facilio, not much. There is Tom Robbo in P3, bringing along Fede in P4, Facilio in P5. Andrea then rejoins down in P8 in the Aston Martin, behind the Dutch Missile, on a brand new set of the soft compound tyres. There's his rival Tito ahead of him. Tito has undercutted Andrea ahead of him. And sadly for Andrea, he's got 1 corner between himself and Tito, so he's stuck in a little bit of a DRS trade, is Andrea. Aries and Luca on the back of this DRS train on a brand new set of the soft compound tyres. They want to make their way forward as quickly as they possibly can. If not, they'll be stuck in that DRS train on those soft compound tyres, not making the use out of them. You can see right to the back then of Joey into Craig Jones we go, and now into Portugal. We try to do a switch back on Joey, then go underneath him. Andrea, oh, bit of almost contact there as Aries goes down the inside of Joey. Into turn 13 we go. Aries should have this covered with the soft compound tyres. Facilio is right behind. There he is then, pulls out alongside, and he goes up into P5, sets the fastest lap of the race. The Alpha Tauri is just spun. That was Joey, unfortunately, so yeah, looks like he made contact with the soft runner of Aries. Andrea is ahead of the Dutch Missile then, as his nearest rival Tito is ahead of him, both on the same set. But Tito's made a mistake with that turn 1, gone sideways. That's allowing Andrea to get closer and closer, so interesting battle. But Facilio then on the back of Tom Robbo for P3. Once he gets past Tom Robbo, the gap is 2.3 between Jensen and Boland then, so this could be a very interesting race between those guys, as Andrea then has overtaken Tito for P6. Got ahead of his rival and is back in the P6 where he was before. Dutch Missile hanging in there in P8. Luca has picked up a 3-second time penalty, but this could be very interesting. With 11 laps to go, who is going to win the Grand Prix? Will it be Facilio? Will it be Jensen or Bolin? Tom Roberts definitely out of the equation, being having a 3-second time penalty. Bolin's win this race. We're getting closer towards Jensen in the championship. Tom Robbo there, unfortunately, ooh. Massive apologies about that, just pressed the PS button by accident, but Facility there right at the back of Toro. Can he get him into turn 1 or will he wait for turn 4? Using the ERS, Tom Robbo is low on it, and down the inside then he goes into turn number 1. And Andreas has the fastest lap of the race on the soft compound tyres. The gap between Facilio and Jensen is 2.5 there, so can he close this gap down with the help of brand new set of the medium compound tyres? That first stint was just absolutely incredible. Aries is right behind Black Box, let's see then. Desperately love to get past Black Box as he can get on the back of Tito and Andrea, he was fighting before the pit stops. But can't quite do on this occasion because Black Box has got DRS on the Dutch Missile ahead. The Dutch Missile makes a mistake coming out of turn number 5 there. But stays in position, does the Dutch Missile on those medium compound tyres. These two, they're going to watch out for Facilio closing. They've got about 7 or 8 laps in hand on those medium compound tyres, has Facilio, so he'll be rapid towards the end of this race. He's closing down the gap on those mediums, 2 seconds now. Can he drop Robbo out of his DRS? And Robbo, I have to think about Faday's. Faday's done a fantastic job in P5. Remember he had the early contact in turn number 3 there? And ever since then he put it behind him. Bearing in mind he was one of the drivers who pitted first to do the undercut. He's got himself closer and closer towards the leaders, so it's been a decent race considering what's happened early on in the race. He had to do the undercut because he was way too far behind. He was fighting with Joey early in the race. The facility then, 2.3, as you can see, Fade almost had a speed coming out of turn number 4. Black Box under pressure for Luca. Aries just got past him for P9 then. Next up is his Alfa Romeo teammate of Luca. Black Box will have DRS. And Luca right behind. Will he try to go down the inside? Nope, he's too far back on that occasion to make any sort of pressure. The Dutch Missile still in P9 there under pressure from the soft runners right behind. Lap 24 out of 33. The battle continues between Bolin and Jensen then. Jensen probably reclaimed the championship lead thanks to Tom Robbo's penalties. Well, Tom Robbo dropped out to P5 because Fade has also got a penalty, but if a safety car comes out, a late safety car might cost Tom a lot due to those penalties. As we head on the straight once again now, we're going to lap 25 out of 33, the Jensen and DRS range of Bolin. Vasilio closed in very slowly there, but Jensen overtakes Bolin, then into turn number 1 we go, and he takes the lead of the race. Those two, they could be very careful not to fight too hard. I know it's the fight for the lead, but they're just going to follow each other for like 5 laps or 6 laps time, because if Vasilio gets close, then it'd be very hard to defend from him being on those fresh medium compound tyres. Further behind, Luca's got past Black Box, and Aries has overtaken the Dutch Missile for P8. The gap's lingering about 2 seconds between the top two. Vasilio being that DRS train, well, those two haven't DRS'd each other, not helping Vasilio, but yeah, it'll work out for him later on in the race once those medium tyres get older. The gap is 1.7 then, so it'll be definite for sure that it'll close on these guys. And Joey's overtaking Arturello for P1 there, P14 there. Championship wise, I think Jensen's about 3 points away from Tom Robbo, and Bolin is 11 points behind on Jensen. This race will do very nicely if Bolin wins it. He can be ahead and be close to Jensen or get ahead of Tom. Aries has picked up a 3-second time penalty as we head on to lap 26, and the gap between Bolin and Vasilio is 2 seconds then, so in the first sector they both gained thanks to the help of the DRS, but in the middle sector you can see that Vasilio comes back at him with the freshness of the medium compound tyres, able to carry more speed as Bolin is in the dirty air of Jensen. That's why they're not fighting too hard and just waiting late on in the race. But highlight of the race for me was Tom Robbo overtaking Jensen in the pit lane. That was fantastic. Did he pick up a 5-second time penalty? Did he hit the back of Jensen? I thought he would. I don't think he expected himself to get away cleanly from that. Also, Facilio doing 19 laps on a set of stock compound tyres. Bearing in mind that was his qualifying tyres too. It's just incredible. I don't know how he does it. Very smooth, very consistent, so despite being on an old rubber. Especially a track like this as well, where overheated is an issue. Proves to me one. That's why he's called outplayed, isn't it? Outsmarted OP racing. As Facilio then, Bowler has DRS on Jensen. Facilio has gained by 5/10, but will lose it on the straight. As we make our way down into turn number 1, then Bowler stays behind for the time being. They know that, well, Tom Robbo is still doing a good job because he's still behind Facilio. If Facilio catches Bowler and Jensen, Tom Robbo will be right there, make it a 5-way fight for first with the top 5 in the DRS train. But Tom Robbo is able to stick in that DRS there, the help of the DRS making him stay in contact with Facilio. DRS is very powerful around here. It's very hard to save EOS as well. The battery, very hard to save battery around here, especially when you're on your own as well. As Joey picks up a 5-second time penalty and retires from the race. So unfortunately, he is out of the race. The gap between Facilio now and Bowler is 1.5. When he swings towards Facilio's weight later on in the race, once those medium tyres start aging on those top 2. As we head on the main straight once again in lap 28 out of 33. As Joey's AI comes out of the pit lane. I hope he doesn't affect these two as we head into turn number 1. Yellow flag, so Bowler can't overtake around here. There is Joey's car pulling it off the side of the road. I remember in the previous games where if you tied the car in the pit lane, it stays in the pit lane. It doesn't come back out the track, but for some reason in this game, it comes back out the track. We almost see contact with one of the AIs. Yeah, Bowler stays behind there for the time being as Robbo is able to stick in the DRS of Facilio then. His best result for Tom Robbo if he stays like this will be P4, because Fide's got right behind, he's got a penalty, and the gap between Tom Robbo and Andrea is quite high as well, so P4 will be the best result that Tom could get, unless those 3 pick up a penalty of course. I think I know Jensen's got 1 warning. I'm not quite sure if there are 2 there, but you can see Facilio getting closer and closer towards Bowler. The gap is about 1.1 then, almost in the 1 second range of DRS. You see him using the curb to rotate the car there. Not quite a DRS at this moment, but Tom is outside the 1 second range of DRS there, so I think he's dropped him unless he's got DRS now. No, Tom does not have DRS on Facilio. He was outside the detection point. Only just about, but Bowler's gone for a move into turn number 1 then. He's overtaken Jensen, back for the lead of the race. Well, Jensen come back into later on in the race, but they're going to keep it out Facilio right behind him in P3. Facilio does not have DRS, but I dare say he'll get it, because the next stop is the middle sector where, well, his advantage is right there. OP Zeta's overtaking Black Box, but OP City with those fresher tyres will have the advantage in the mid-speed corners there. Will pay beneficial for him. He's in the DRS range now of Jensen and Bowler, as he was able to drop Robbo outside the 1 second range of DRS. The Dutch missile is fighting with Luca. He stays ahead of Luca for the time being. This is going to be a fascinating fight for the top 3. Will Jensen play it smartly? Will he use Bowler for the DRS? Will he try and keep Facilio in P3? I think Jensen can dictate what happens because he's right behind Bowler with the DRS. Will he be able to stick in the DRS of Bowler and try and keep Facilio behind with the DRS train and overtake Bowler later on in the race? Looks like Bowler's pulled a decent gap over Jensen, but still he's in the DRS range. And there is Facilio right there in P3 then. Now he's in the DRS range, it'll be very hard for him to get out of it. With 4 laps left to go then. As Tom Robbo picks up another penalty, might drop down into P5 then, because you can see Fade is right behind him. I don't think safety cars come out anymore, so I don't think he has to worry about safety cars. That's the least of his worries. He's got to be very careful not to pick up any more penalties, otherwise he'll drop down his P6. The best strategy so far in this race has been the softer medium, especially extending that soft stint by quite a milestone there. Lap 19 Facilio pitted. You can see that he has more corner speed in comparison to Jensen in this middle sector. But once we get on the straight, Jensen will have DRS to protect himself from Facilio. Heading down into turn 13, this can be a little bit of a difficult corner, this one. Now into turn 14 we go. It's a shame this track is going off the calendar next year. It was reintroduced back in 2020 thanks to COVID and stuck in 2021. But no longer be on the calendar for F1 this year onwards. Hopefully we'll return to the calendar soon. There's not been an announcement of the replacement Russian Grand Prix, has there? So intrigued to know what track it is. It might be Qatar. Might have to race in Qatar. There's been a lot of rumours about it, but yeah, it's a shame this track won't be on the calendar. Facilio then, has he lined himself up for a good exit coming out of here? Going down into turn 4, now into turn 5. He's too far back on that occasion. You can see that Jensen applied the ERS to try and stay ahead of Facilio. Later stages in this race then. Tensions building between these guys. Aries is fighting his teammate Luca. I'll go back on board for the top 3 just to see what's happening. Can't afford any mistakes from here on in. Jensen made a mistake coming out of there. And my love Facilio to go alongside it then as we make our way into Craig's Joe. Now into Portugal, turn 10 and turn 11. Facilio goes down the inside of Jensen then. And he's made the move stick then, so Jensen's mistake has cost him dearly. And he's down in P3 then. Facilio doing a fantastic job in this race on that long stint on the soft compound tyres. And Bolin then will be trying to do everything he can. We got a bit more ERS in comparison to Facilio. But Facilio does have the tyre advantage over Bolin. As we head on to lap 22 then, lap 32, 2 laps to go in this race. Let's have a look at this comment. Yeah, what a strategy indeed. It's a fantastic strategy. Has Facilio 19 laps on the set of stock compound tyres. Just not expected it. I thought it could go like, or their peak performance would have been like lap 11 or lap 12, but 19 laps including qualifying, it's just been spectacular. Like, never seen anything like it before. Aries has overtaken the Dutch missile. That USA race yesterday proved to me that his tyre saving was good for OP Facilio. And now he's in the back of FVR Bolin then. There'll be a last lap move for Facilio. Can Bolin defend against Facilio? He's looking for glory. Bolin won yesterday in the Shazoo Championship at USA, overtaking Facilio on the last lap. Will it be the other way around today with Facilio overtaking Bolin on the last lap? Facilio's tyre life went at the end of the race yesterday in USA, but tyre life is in his favour this time round. As we make our way into the final corner, it looks like Facilio's low on ERS. Bolin will give everything he's got in that battery, defended to the inside line there to try and break the slipstream from Facilio. Facilio has absolutely no ERS then. Will it be much difficult to try and get him into turn number 5 with the lack of ERS, sorry. We'll get a better exit coming out of turn 3 and 4. But can he get himself close enough down at turn 5 to try and make an overtake? No, he can't. Looks like Bolin has this covered. Bolin's going to watch out in the middle sector because he knows Facilio will be much quicker with those medium compound tyres. Bolin's done a stunning effort from defending. But he's going to watch out now for Facilio because he will give it absolutely everything in this final 2 sectors. Bolin are going to keep it nice and clean. So does Facilio there. Running quite low on fuel is both of them there. But Bolin then looks like he's got this covered. I don't think Facilio can find any way past unless Bolin makes a mistake. But Bolin then keeps it nice and clean in this final few parts of the lap. Coming into turn 13 then. Can Facilio out drag him towards the line? Can he get a better exit coming out of turn number 14? Bolin needs a clean exit. If he does, he has it covered. But here we go then. Out the penultimate corner we go. It's the final corner. I think Bolin has this covered. And there we go. They're coming towards the line. Bolin will come across the line to win the Portuguese Grand Prix ahead of Facilio. Jensen finishes at P3. Tom Robbo P4, P5 with that penalty. Andrea will come across the line to finish in P6 with Tito in P7. Here comes Aries in P8, followed by the Dutch Missile, who finishes inside the top 10. He'll be very happy. Luca in P10. In fact, he finishes in P10, does the Dutch Missile. No, P11, so there's penalties there. Do not do any favours. Harm in P13, and Artemello will come across the line next to finish in last place, unfortunately for him. Congratulations to Bolin for winning that race, but congrats to Facilio for making that tyre, making those tyres last out for 19 laps. One-tenth was the gap between Facilio and Bolin. I wonder if it's the case if he went too long on those soft compound tyres, maybe it cost him a little bit there. The longer he went, the less laps he had to try and close in. But Bolin then will bring the championship down. We'll find out the championship in the next week. But Facilio is your race leader. Bolin is your race leader. The Dutchman doing a fantastic job. And Jensen takes the podium in P3, bringing the gap down towards Tom Robbo. Rather level pegging, or Jensen go ahead of Tom Robbo. Jensen might have taken the lead of the championship off Tom Robbo. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to commentate for the Portuguese Grand Prix. We've got 2 races left now. The Bahrain Grand Prix was always puts on a show, and the Dutch GP. We'll find out how that goes in a few weeks' time. But join us next time out at the Bahrain Grand Prix on the 19th of May, next Thursday at 7 PM for the penultimate round of the season. Who's the championship going to go towards? Is it going to be Jensen? Is it going to go to Bolin with his late performances? Can it be Tom Robbo? We'll see in the next few races. See you all later. Have a good weekend.